Just got out of the shower. This is my robe. Haven't brushed my hair. So this is just something I wanted to talk about. There's a phrase that I really love. It's called principles before personalities. And most people don't know what that means, so I'm just going to try to explain it from my own point of view. So principles before personality means that, for example, I'm going to be kind even if my personality wants me to be unkind. I'm going to take good care of my body, even when I'm not in a good place. I don't get in that negative place anymore, but this is what it would apply to most people. I'm going to be honest, even when it doesn't serve me, right? That's the principle of honesty, or the principle of taking care of yourself, or the principle of kindness. Those are really important. And those principles, when you go by principles instead of personalities, that's the other way you could look at it is, I'm going to be kind even though that person is being a meanie, right? So I'm in that principle where I'm looking at the principle. It means that I believe in freedom of speech. Yeah, there's some things that might not be appropriate, but I do believe in freedom of speech. It's the principle. It doesn't matter who else believes it with me. It doesn't matter, what political affiliation it is. It's a principle that we have in this country. It's the First Amendment, so that's something that I believe in, is the freedom of speech. Yeah, there are some things that are not appropriate, like pornography for kids, or yelling fire in a theater, or organizing a hate crime. Like those things are not good, right? But I leave that to the judges and the courts and all that stuff to figure it out. But I do believe in freedom of speech. That's not a right wing or left wing thing. It's a principle of freedom of speech. I believe in the Constitution. When I was a little girl, all the girls had to wear dresses all the time, and that was kind of tricky for me because I was doing the rings and I was going on the monkey bars upside down all the time, and then, it was not cool. So, in I think fourth grade, I wrote a letter to the principal and I said it's unconstitutional that you won't let girls wear pants, and so he let me wear pants for one Friday a week for about a year, and no one died, and I was able to play much more on Fridays and have more fun and all that stuff, and I was safer, from the boys and all that stuff. And then after that, he let all the girls do that, and it probably wasn't constitutional. I was fourth grade. I wasn't aware that much of the Constitution, but it was the principle of equality that's important to me. So that principle of equality, and that principle of also, being modest. So you're not going upside down wearing a dress, unless I do know how to tie longer dresses in a knot so they don't go off. I used to do that all the time with my acro partner because I wore dresses a lot, and then I'd go upside down, and I had the dress tied so it never went down. But that's the same kind of principle. At any rate, principle before personality is so helpful for people who, if you want to do any action. For example, I work out. That's a principle of part of my taking care of myself. I work out. And what does that mean? I work out. It doesn't matter if I don't want to. I know how to make it so I do want to, but if I didn't want to and I wanted to be healthy, I'd still work out. Yeah, if I'm too hurt or injured, I wouldn't. There's a little discernment. There's nuances. But like the principle of, like I have a principle, I don't eat sugar, I don't eat grains, I don't eat dairy, except for butter. I don't drink alcohol, I don't drink coffee, I don't drink anything with caffeine. So that's a principle for me that I've adopted. So it doesn't matter if it's a party. I'm not going to do any of those things. It's the principle of I'm going to take care of my body. I'm going to do what my body feels the best in. It's not about being good. It's not about, making effort. Principles before personalities means that I stick with the things that I value, my values, my strongest, most beautiful beliefs, the beliefs that are harmonious with my spirit. I stick with those beliefs independent of what I want to do and independent of what somebody else wants to do. So I'm constantly using the principles of whatever it is to guide me, and it makes it so easy. I don't have that thing in my head. A lot of people say, but don't you get don't you get upset when you are at a party and everybody's having ice cream and cake and you don't get to have any? No, I have that principle of taking care of myself, and I feel so thankful that I'm taking care of myself. I feel so thankful that I'm eating food that nourishes my body. I feel so thankful that I'm eating food that nourishes my brain. I feel so thankful that I'm eating food that nourishes my energy, right? So, or somebody will say, "Oh, you're so tired. Why don't you have some coffee?" Because I have a supply. My supply is from my spirit, and I don't go for something outside of me when I'm going to eat food, but I don't go for energy outside of me because I have this infinite supply. And if my body is tired, I listen to it and I take a little short nap, and then I have the energy, right? So it's so much like part of what's going on in the world that I wish we could shift, and I'm going to shift it right now. I shift it for myself. I've shifted it for myself. Is that people say, "Oh, these people believe in this thing, and those people, I hate those people, so that thing must be terrible." Whereas if you look at the principle of kindness, the principle of compassion, the principle of trying to understand versus being understood, the principle of trying to of being being a benefit versus hating, right? If you look at those principles and you make those principles more important than the personalities of the people involved, that's what I mean about this. It's like, yeah, there are people on whatever side. There are no sides. We're all in this together. But there are people on whatever side that say, "Oh, this is bad because these people do it, and this is good because these people do it." But you want to look at the principle of honesty, the principle of transparency, the principle of kindness, the principle of benefiting win-win, right? Whatever it is, whatever the principle is. So you don't have to get into the personality. You don't have to get into your own personality. It makes taking care of yourself, it makes eating right, it makes all these decisions become almost moot because you're so attached to the principle, which is a pure thing, versus your personality or the personality of someone else. When someone is attached to the personality of someone else, where they're judging them, where they're calling them names, where they're doing, hating them or whatever, they've missed the principle. The principle of knowing that we are all connected. The principle of knowing that we're all in this together. The principle of knowing that if you're emanating love, you're benefiting the world. If you're emanating hate, you're hurting the world. There's a principle of understanding that we are all, to use a common phrase, God in drag. We are all God masquerading in these beautiful divine vessels of love. We are God, or whatever you call it. I'm not talking in a religious way. I'm just saying in a spiritual way, there's nothing you can look at that is not divine. There's no one you can be with that is not divine. There's nothing you can see that is not divine. The divinity is in everything. And so that to me is a principle of seeing past the personality and seeing into the beauty of their divinity. That's a principle that I value. And I encourage you to try it because it makes life so much fun. You have more connection, more bonding, more freedom. You feel better, and when you feel better, your physiology works better. Everything gets better when you are in a place of kindness for yourself, kindness for others, when you're in a place of connection, when you're in a place of honoring principles before personalities.